Naturally, as a basketball fan, I love the NBA Finals. Now, while I do love the NBA Finals, I don't exactly love those steamy, stinky, scorching hot takes that come with them. During this time of year, you never know who you're going to get a hot take from. It could be Stephen A. Smith, it could be Kendrick Perkins, it could even be a coach. The narratives surrounding Tatum right now are as disgusting as they've ever been, which is ironic considering that this is the best team that the Celtics have had since acquiring the guy. But before we continue, guys, let's get a word from today's sponsor. You have a chance to 325 times your money thanks to Underdog Fantasy's limited time Pick 8 promo for the NBA Finals. Guys, look at this. I'm playing a $15 lineup that gives me the chance to win $4,875. What's wild is that you could miss on 2 of these projections and still win your lineup. The best and easiest way to play daily fantasy just keeps getting better and better. Now, when you sign up, make sure to use code COOP for a special projection and the potential first-time deposit bonus of up to $250. Thank you, Underdog, for the sponsor. After going 53-29 and being the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics would against all odds win the 2017 NBA Draft Lottery. I say against all odds because how often do you see something like that happening? Something like that happening today almost doesn't seem fathomable, but thanks to some swift swindling by Danny Ainge, every 2K My GM fanatic's dream would actually be achieved. Sitting all alone at 1, the Celtics could have selected Markelle Fultz, who was an athletic do-it-all stat sheet stuffer at Washington, but instead of doing so, they trade the top overall pick to Philadelphia in exchange for the number 3 overall pick and more draft capital. And we all know what they did with that number 3 pick. They take Jayson Tatum, which is actually something that Tatum didn't even want at the time. Remember, when the Celtics drafted Tatum, the team was already really good, having Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Isaiah Thomas, and Marcus Smart. Tatum, knowing this, simply thought that he wasn't going to be good enough to play. Fast forward to 7 years later, and the Celtics are a legit threat to win a championship yet again, with Tatum arguably being the best player on a team that is loaded with really good players. Which oddly, the Celtics being as good as they have has in a way started to work against his reputation. People who have wanted to discredit Tatum have started to look at Tatum as somebody who is solely getting carried by his team. People are really out here acting like Tatum is 2022 championship Wiggins. Wiggins was a great role player for the Warriors during that run, but that is not what Tatum is for this team. So with as good as the Celtics are, at least to me, Tatum is the Celtics' best and most important player. But not everybody feels this way. Just ask Jason Kidd.
What makes going against a guy like Jaylen so challenging?
Well, Jaylen's the best player, so just looking at what he does defensively, he picked up Luka full court, he got to the free throw line, he did everything, and that's what your best player does. Just understanding. He plays both sides, defense and offense, at a high rate, and he's been doing that the whole playoffs. I mean, when you talk about the Eastern Conference MVP, and it seems like he's continued to pick up where he left off.
After Game 1, Kidd really sat down for the post-game press conference and chose violence, calling Jaylen Brown the Celtics' best player amid the discourse surrounding these two being as divisive as ever. I was initially blown away by what Kidd had said, until I saw what Tatum had said prior.
What makes our team really special is we don't have guys that we hide on defense.
I don't think that what Tatum said was inherently malicious, but I could see why a guy like Kidd, who isn't exactly known for walking on eggshells, would feel the need to one-up him while taking this opportunity to play mind games in the process. If there's one thing that I've learned about Jason Kidd over the years, it's that this guy is a complete savage and will say anything that comes to his mind. He'll tell you an inconvenient truth over a comforting lie any day of the week, which is something that I definitely applaud him for. Coming into the finals, Jason Kidd would say that the players had it easy and that it was much harder to be a coach. This is something that I thought was crazy until I really sat down and thought about it. If Kidd was afraid of walking on eggshells, he would never say something like this. So both Tatum and Brown would shrug off the Brown is better propaganda from Kidd, but Drew would agree, at least initially.
This is the first I'm hearing it, but I mean, I don't think he's lying. I think JB he's been aggressive in every single way. He's been getting to the paint, getting to the free throw line, also making plays for other people. And then he's guarding Luka. He's guarding the best player. I've been on teams where, just any team, where does your best player have such a heavy load on the offensive end, and then a heavy, just as equal heavy load on the defensive end? That's hard to do.
Drew would later say that he was taken out of context and that he meant to do nothing more than just show his teammate love. I can't emphasize how much this really wasn't a bad attempt to be divisive by Kidd. Jaylen Brown has talked a lot about how he's tired of being disrespected, and had even liked the tweet earlier in the season that said if Jaylen Brown was the #1 option on a team, he would average over 30 points per game and be in the MVP conversation. This was seriously a diabolical and calculated play by Kidd. Now, I really wouldn't blame Kidd if he had truly thought that Brown was the Celtics' best player. Jaylen Brown is a monster in his own right. He's been decisive and efficient on offense, and on defense, he's been fighting. Take a look at this sequence here. Ironically, Tatum is doubled. Tatum makes a great pass out of the double team. The Celtics do what they do best, swinging the ball to find an open shooter, and Jaylen Brown knocks down the tray. Immediately after knocking down the three, he picks up one of the craftiest ball handlers in the game in Luka, gets the steal, and then punishes the rim. This was a fantastic sequence from Brown, which at the same time highlights the importance of Jayson Tatum, who has been the primary creator and play starter for this team. But my question is that if Kidd really does believe that Brown is the Celtics' best player, then why are the Mavericks constantly loading up and shading their coverages towards Tatum? That's like me saying that IHOP pancakes are my favorite food and then ordering burgers every single time that I go there. That really just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So far, Tatum has been far from perfect, having multiple subpar shooting performances during this run. But if you can't appreciate what he's been doing for this Celtics team, then you might just not like Jayson Tatum, because he's been doing everything for his team as a premium do-it-all wing. During these playoffs, Tatum has been scoring, averaging 24.9 points. He's continued to serve as an extra big man on the boards, averaging 10.3 rebounds. And he also has continued to be the engine of this offense, averaging 6.3 assists. Mind you that he's doing this while accepting whatever assignment is being presented to him. We've seen him match up with players like Evan Mobley, Miles Turner, and Derek Lively, which might not sound too crazy, but then you remember that this guy is truly a small forward who has the ability to play up and down and be effective at it, and that changes everything. On one play, you could see Tatum being smothering on the ball, getting a crucial steal against one of the most talented scorers that the game has seen with the game in the balance. And then on another play, you could see him doing something like blocking a near 7-footer for the win. Oh, and as he's doing these things, he's acting as a point guard on offense. This is a 6'8", 6'9" wing. During Game 2, Tatum would continue to face heavy criticism because of shooting woes continuing as he went 6 of 22. But the thing is that he'd be phenomenal everywhere else, scoring 18 points while recording 9 rebounds and 12 assists in the process. Now, I won't sit here and tell you that Tatum hasn't been worried about scoring like Tatum did after Game 2, when he took the most shots of any player on the floor. He's just been so good everywhere else, especially playmaking for his teammates, that I'm willing to overlook the occasional questionable shot and misses that have come with his performances. This is really one of those you take the bad with the good situations. Like, if this is currently his floor, then you know his ceiling is going to be crazy. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think of everything down in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen and using code COOP for Underdog Fantasy are great ways to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.